So hello everyone, in this audio class we will discuss the 20 most important questions that can be asked in the KVS NVS Geography PGT interview. So let's get started with the chapter Vegetation of India from the book Physical of India Physical Environment. So let's get started with the question number 1. What is natural vegetation and why is it important? So natural vegetation refers to plant community that grows naturally without human interference. It is important because it maintains ecological balance, prevents soil erosion, regulates climate and supports wildlife. Forests of the Western Ghats are good example of rich natural vegetation. Question number 2. Which factors influence the distribution of natural vegetation in India? So the distribution of natural vegetation depends mainly on temperature, rainfall, soil and relief. For example, heavy rainfall areas of Western Ghats support evergreen forest, while Rajasthan with low rainfall has thorn forests. Next question, why are tropical evergreen forests called evergreen forests? So tropical evergreen forests remain green throughout the year because trees do not shed all leaves at the same time. These forests are found in areas receiving more than 200 cm rainfall such as Western Ghats and Andaman and Nicobar Island. Question number 4, what are the main characteristics of tropical evergreen forests? So these forests are dense, multi-layered and contain tall hardwood trees. Important trees are ebony, mahogany, rosewood. Due to thick vegetation, sunlight hardly reaches the ground. Question number 5, why are tropical deciduous forests called monsoon forests? So tropical deciduous forests are called monsoon forests because they depend on seasonal rainfall. Trees shed leaves during the dry season to reduce water loss. Teak and sal are important trees of these forests. Next, question number 6, differentiate between moist deciduous and dry deciduous forest. So moist deciduous forests are found in areas with 100 to 200 cm of rainfall, while dry deciduous forest occurs in areas with 70 to 100 cm rainfall. Moist deciduous forests are denser, dry deciduous forests are more open. Question number 7, why are tropical deciduous forests economically important? So these forests provide valuable timber used for furniture, construction and railway sleepers. Teak and sal wood are widely used in industries. Question number 8, what are tropical thorn forests and where are they found? So tropical thorn forests are found in dry regions receiving less than 70 cm of rainfall. Trees have long roots and thorny leaves to reduce water loss. They are found in Rajasthan, Gujarat and parts of Punjab. Question number 9, what adaptations are seen in thorn forest vegetation? So plants have thick bark, thorny leaves and long roots to survive in dry climate. Cactus and acacia are common examples. Question number 10, how does altitude affect mountain forests? So with increase in altitude, temperature decreases and different types of forests are found. Tropical forests found in lower slopes, while coniferous forests like pine and deodar occur at the higher altitudes. Question number 11, what are the main features of Himalayan mountain forests? So mountain forests show altitudinal zonation. For example, oak, chestnut and pine occur in middle altitudes, while silver fir and deodar are found at higher altitudes. Alpine vegetation occurs near slow line. Question number 12, what are littoral and swamp forests? So littoral and swamp forests grow in coastal and delta regions affected by tides. Mangrove forests are common examples. Sundarban Delta is the largest mangrove forest region in India. Question number 13, why are mangrove forests ecologically important? So mangroves protect coastal regions from cyclones and soil erosion. They also provide breeding grounds for fish and wildlife. Sundari tree is a famous mangrove species. Question number 14. What is social forestry? Social forestry means planting trees outside forest for environmental and social benefits. It helps in fuel, wood supply, soil conservation and environmental protection. Question number 15. What is farm forestry? So farm forestry means growing trees on agricultural land along with crops. Farmers plant trees like eucalyptus and bamboo for additional income and fuel wood. Question number 16. Why is forest conservation necessary in India? So forest conservation is necessary to protect biodiversity, prevent soil erosion, reduce climate change and maintain ecological balance. Rapid deforestation creates environmental problems. Question number 17. What are biosphere reserves and why are they important? So biosphere reserves are protected areas created to conserve biodiversity and natural ecosystems. Nilgiri Biosphere Reserves was the first biosphere reserve in India. Question number 18. What is Project Tiger and why was it launched? So Project Tiger was launched in 1973 to protect decreasing tiger population in India. It aims to conserve tiger habitats and maintain ecological balance. Jim Corbett National Park is an important tiger reserve. Question number 19. What is Project Elephant? Project Elephant was launched in 1992 to protect elephants and their habitats. It also aims to reduce human elephant conflict and conserve migration corridors. Question number 20. How are forests and human life closely related? So forests provide oxygen, timber, medicine, food and livelihood to millions of peoples. Tribal communities especially depend on forest for their daily needs. Forests are therefore called the lifeline of ecological balance. So next question, what is the fundamental ecological distinction between tropical evergreen and semi-evergreen forest in India? So the primary distinction lies in rainfall, structural stratification and leaf shedding behavior. Tropical evergreen forests thrive in regions with annual precipitation exceeding to 200 centimeter and temperature above 22 degrees Celsius. They are multi-layered or stratified with no distinct season for leaf shedding, making them appear green year round. Semi-evergreen forests are transitional zones between found in less rainy areas consisting of a mixture of evergreen and moist deciduous species. So for example, in evergreen forest we see giants like rosewood, mahogany, ebony, and in semi-evergreen forest the main species are hollock, white cedar and kale. Question number the next question, why are tropical deciduous forests called monsoon forest of India? So they are termed monsoon forest because their phenology is strictly tied to seasonal water availability. They shed their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in spring and early summer to conserve moisture. They are classified based on the water availability into moist deciduous, that is found in the rainfall zones of 100 to 200 centimeter, and dry deciduous found in rainfall zones of 70 to 100 centimeter. For example, teak, sal, sisam, mahua dominate moist deciduous zones found in northeastern states, foothills of Himalayas, and Tendu, Palas, Amaltas, Khair dominates the dry deciduous zones. Plains of Bihar found in plains of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Next question, as we move from moist deciduous to dry deciduous zones, what structural changes do you observe in the forest canopy? So the forest structure undergoes a clear transition. The moist deciduous forests feature a relatively closed tall canopy with rich undergrowth. As rainfall drops below 100 centimeter in dry deciduous zones, the canopy becomes open, trees grow shorter, and the forest floor transitions into vast patches of grass and parkland landscape due to prolonged dry season. For example, the transition is visibly clear when moving from moist teak and sal forest of the Chotanagpur Plateau to open Palas and Amaltas parkland of drier Central Highland. Next question, how does the vegetation of the tropical thorn forest morphologically adapt to arid climate? So plants in these forests exhibit xerophytic adaptations to minimize transpiration and survive in regions with less than 50 cm of rainfall. These adaptations include deep root systems to tap groundwater, thick succulent stream to store water, and leaves modified into thorns or small leathery surface to prevent water loss. For example, in semi-arid areas of Rajasthan and Gujarat include babul, bel, ber, wild date palm, khair, neem, khejri, etc. Next, explain the altitudinal zonation of vegetation in the Indian Himalayas and why does this zoning occur. So, in mountainous regions, the decrease in temperature with increasing altitude leads to corresponding change in natural vegetation. The zonation moves from tropical to alpine type. In foothills, there are tropical forests in at the above 1000 and 1000 to 2000 meter. Then wet temperate 1500 to 3000 meter. Pine and coniferous above 3000 meter. There are alpine vegetation, etc. So oak, chestnut dominates the lower wet temperate levels. Cheer pine, deodar, blue pine, spruce occupy the higher coniferous belt, followed by silver firs, juniper, birches at the alpine level. Next question, compare the structural and species composition of the northern Himalayan mountain forest with the southern peninsular mountain forest. So northern mountain forests are high altitude extensive systems showing a complete range from temperate to alpine tundra vegetation due to tectonic height. Southern mountain forest found in Western Ghat, Vindhyas and Nilgiris are closer to the tropics, less elevated, more stable. The temperate forests of the south are unique, stunted and known locally as sholas. And for example, the northern forest feature conifers like deodar, blue pine, and southern sholas feature temperate evergreen species like magnolia, laurel, cinchona, wattle, etc. Next question, what ecological role do littoral swamp and forest play in the coastal dynamics, and what unique adaptation do their plant possess? So the littoral and swamp forest or mangroves act as critical bioshields against the coastal erosion, cyclones and tidal surges. They thrive in saline, waterlogged and anaerobic or oxygen deficient mud. To breathe, these plants have evolved specialized roots called pneumatophores or blind roots and grow upward out of the water and mud to intake oxygen. For example, the Sundari tree in the Ganga Brahmaputra delta is the hallmark species along with other mangrove variants like Rhizophora, Acanthus, etc. Next question, how does the Ramsar Convention relate to Indian littoral and swamp ecosystems according to geographic conservation standards? So the Ramsar Convention focuses on conservation and sustainable use of wetlands. India's littoral and swamp areas are heavily protected under this international treaty because they house unique aquatic flora, fauna and migratory birds. The country's wetlands are legally categorized into distinct eco-zones to prevent reclamation and pollution. For example, key designated Ramsar wetland sites in India include Chilika Lake in Orissa, Keoladev National Park, Bharatpur, Rajasthan. Next question, what is the underlying philosophy behind the forest conservation policies in India and how does the National Forest Policy of 1988 address this? So the philosophy focuses on ecological stability, environmental balance and direct community involvement rather than mere commercial exploitation. The National Forest Policy of 1988 marked a paradigm shift by aiming to bring 33% of India's total geographical area under the forest cover and emphasizing the cooperation of local communities in protecting forest resources. For example, this policy directly led to implementation of joint forest management schemes across Indian states to bridge the gap between the forest departments and local villages. Next question, differentiate between social forestry, urban forestry and rural forestry as outlined by the National Commission on Agriculture. So social forestry, managing and protecting forest on common lands to help environmental, rural and social development. Urban forestry, raising and managing trees on public and private lands in and around urban centers like green belts, roadside avenues, etc. And rural forestry, divided into agroforestry or growing trees and crops on the same land, and community forestry, growing trees on community owned land. For example, planting shade trees along highways in Delhi in urban forestry, while village panchayats planting wood lots on common grazing land is a community forestry. Next question, what is farm forestry and how does it economically and ecologically assist the farmer? So farm forestry is a specific practice where farmers grow trees for commercial or non-commercial purposes on their own agricultural lands. Economically, it provides timber, fuel wood and additional income security during crop failure. Ecologically, it acts as a windbreak, reduces soil erosion and improves the farm microclimate. For example, farmers in Punjab, Haryana, West and Uttar Pradesh widely plant fast growing species like eucalyptus and poplar on their field boundaries. Next question, why is India considered a mega diverse country in terms of wildlife and what factors contribute to this status? So India possesses a unique geographic location at the junction of Oriental, Palearctic and Ethiopian ecozones. This positioning, combined with its diverse physiography like Himalayas, desert, Deccan plateaus and coast and varied climate and rainfall, creates a vast array of niches that support roughly 4 to 5% of all known living species on the earth. So the coexistence of distinct apex predators like Asiatic lions that is restricted to Gir, Gujarat, and the Bengal tiger found in Sundarban and central India highlands that unparalleled highlights this unparalleled diversity. Next question, what were the primary objectives of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and how did it change conservation in India? So the act was enacted to provide a comprehensive legal framework for wildlife protection. Its primary objectives were to ban hunting of endangered species, to provide legal protection to wildlife habitats, to regulate trade in wildlife products, and it legally established the framework for creating national parks and wildlife sanctuaries across India. For example, Schedule 1 of this act provides absolute protection to highly endangered animals like one-horned rhinoceros, Bengal tiger and great Indian bustard, etc. Next question, next question, explain the concept of Project Tiger and why is it called the umbrella project in wildlife conservation. So the Project Tiger was launched in 1973. Project Tiger's objective is to ensure a viable population of Bengal tigers in India for scientific, economic, aesthetic and ecological values. It is called an umbrella project because by conserving the tiger, that is an apex predator at the top of the food chain, we automatically preserve the entire ecosystem including herbivores, vegetation and water bodies within its massive habitat. For example, iconic reserves under these projects include Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, Kanha National Park in Madhya Pradesh and Manas in Assam. Next question, what specific ecological challenges led to launch of Project Elephant in 1992? So Project Elephant was launched to address the severe anthropogenic pressures on India's largest land mammal. The primary challenges included habitat fragmentation, degradation of traditional migratory corridors, human-elephant conflict leading to casualties on both sides, and illegal poaching for ivory. For example, the project focuses on protecting critical elephant corridors across states such as Periyar Reserve in Kerala, Kaziranga in Assam and ensuring safe seasonal migration. Next question, define a biosphere reserve and how does it differ conceptually from a national park? So a biosphere reserve is a large protected terrestrial or coastal ecosystem designated under the UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Reserve program to balance biodiversity conservation with sustainable human development. Unlike a national park, which is a strictly protected area that completely excludes human exploitation and habitation, a biosphere reserve actively includes human communities as an integral part of the management plan. So India has 18, for example, India has 18 biosphere reserves such as Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve and the Gulf of Mannar, which showcase sustainable coexistence. So the next question, explain the spatial zonation of biosphere reserve. What activities are permitted in each zone? So a biosphere reserve is divided into 3 distinct structural zones. Core area, a legally protected undisturbed ecosystem where no human activity is allowed. Next is buffer zone, surrounds the core, controlled and non-destructive activities like research and environmental education and ecotourism are permitted. And transition zone, the outermost area where local communities practice sustainable farming, forestry and settlement management. So for example, in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, tribal population live and sustainably harvest honey or forest produce within the transition zone, while the core zone remains completely untouched. Next question, out of the 18 biosphere reserves in India, which ones are recognized on UNESCO's World Network of Biosphere Reserve? So name at least 4. So several of India's biosphere reserves are recognized under the UNESCO's World Network based on their global ecological importance, unique biodiversity and successful community based conservation. For example, the 4 prominent UNESCO recognized reserves are Nilgiri, Nanda Devi, Sundarban and Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve. Next question, locate the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve geographically and explain its unique ecological significance. So the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve was the first biosphere reserve established in India in 1986. Geographically, it is located at the tri-junction of the 3 southern states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka, encompassing parts of Western Ghats. It has immense ecological significance as it contains distinct biomes ranging from moist deciduous to semi-evergreen and shola grasslands, boosting high endemism. So for example, it protects globally endangered and endemic fauna like lion-tailed macaque and Nilgiri tahar, along with critical coniferous contiguous forest patches like Wayanad and Bandipur. Next, and this is the last question for today: how do forest fires and illegal monoculture plantation alter the natural vegetation profile of India? So forest fire and monoculture plantations disrupt natural ecological succession. Uncontrolled fires destroy the tender undergrowth, seed banks and microfauna, accelerating soil erosion. Monoculture, the practice of planting a single commercial species, destroys biodiversity by replacing diverse multi-layered native forest with uniform stands, drying up local water table and rendering the area prone to pests. For example, the replacement of natural mixed Himalayan forest with the commercial cheer pine plantation has increased forest fire frequencies, while the historical commercial planting of teak in a place of diverse indigenous trees in the central India altered the natural flora of this region. So thanks for listening. Thank you.